Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. And now, here are Bob and Richard.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Our guest today is Jimmy Jazz, a low-stakes gambler who studies how to get the most bang for your buck, primarily on travel and credit cards. Jimmy Jazz, welcome to Gambling with an Edge.
Thanks. Good to be here again. Always good chatting with you and Richard.
Thank you back. Before we talk to Jimmy, there's been some Twitter news. Richard, what's going on?
Well, it's not really Twitter news. I just wanted to mention that Gambling with an Edge has its own Twitter account, which is separate from mine. Mine is RWM21, where I do tweet out the new show every week, as well as various articles that I think will be of interest to our listeners. But we have several people who blog regularly at Gambling with an Edge, including Bob writes a weekly article. And our newest addition is Captain Jack, who's been a guest on the show, and he's writing about sports betting. And you can follow the Twitter account. It is at GWAE, for Gambling with an Edge, GWAE_superblog. And if you follow that Twitter account, anything that gets posted at Gambling with an Edge will show up on your Twitter feed. So somebody I thought knew all about this recently said, hey, why didn't you tell me about this? I'm on Twitter all the time, and I didn't even know this existed. So now you do. So follow at GWAE_superblog, and you'll get all the news as it happens.
Well, that's good. There's all of us have just had nothing to do in our life, and we need more Twitter accounts to follow. This is good. All right. So Jimmy and I have been friends for a decade or more actually. And in late May, he sent me an email saying his wife got a postcard from the Four Queens that he doesn't know if it's just for already members or if he doesn't know if it's too low stakes for me, but I might want to check it out. What was that all about, Jimmy?
Well, we've been playing at the Four Queens for over a decade, and it's a good low roller place, and they run some pretty good promotions. So my wife got a postcard that says earn 4,000 points, and we'll give you a $400 bonus. So basically, every 100 points gets you an extra $10 in free play. So with most of the video
4,000 points though means $32,000. It's
right.
$8 per point
on most of the video.
But not all.
Right. So still, I mean, with what we play, an extra 1.25% back on the pretty good games at the Four Queens already sounded like a pretty good idea and definitely worthy of a trip. The one slight downside was that we didn't get in until the day the promotion ended, and we got in at about 6 o'clock. So we didn't get to max it out, but it's still, to me, a very good low roller play. My wife likes the multi-line bonus deuces wild, where she's given up some EV for some fun factor. I played the jacks are better, which is a little higher EV, and it's only single line, so it's a little less fun. But we managed to get half of the money out of that due to a couple things going on. One was that we were talking to actually there was a local Detroit pro out there that we know, and we were chatting with him, and he told us that the promotion didn't end at midnight like we thought. It actually ended at 11 o'clock. And this was our travel day, so it was kind of a long day anyway. So as we went along, we decided to cap it at the $200 in free play. And the one thing I did wrong was not send you a American Casino Guide had a double points on the first 500 points you earn. So shame on me for not sending you that.
Is that for new members only, or?
Nope, that's every year. That's in the American. Yeah, in the American Casino Guide, it's in there every year, and you can use one per person per year.
Okay. So I actually went down and looked at the games and found $10.640 double bonus. This is where you get 200 for the straight flush rather than the normal 250, 99.95. With lots of variants and W2Gs on Royals and Aces with a kicker. But assuming that was even money at 100% rather than 99.95, for approximately 8 hours of play, I was going to get $500 either cash or free play. $400 for the promotion, and the casino would give you $100 cash for cash back and $200 of comps, which is good at they have a high-end and a low-end restaurant, and then there's a gift shop. And so with the limited number of places that welcome my action these days, this was good enough, and so I definitely jumped on this and went down and played the $10.6. The got it, slight loss. Played in addition after that because Vonnie likes the restaurant, the Hugo Cellar, and so after that, if you're just playing straight up, like the game is probably worth $15 an hour with $30 an hour worth of food comps, which not a great play, but not a terrible play. And so we did that, and Bonnie's happy. And I wondered if I would get a mailer because I'm actually slightly ahead on the play with, and I got I guess you'd call it an embarrassing mailer. I did get a mailer, but it was $20 twice a month for 2 months with an extra $30 of food for putting in about $80,000 coin in. So it seemed like a distressingly low mailer, but it was higher than the zero I was expecting. So I'm...
Your mailer might be lower because you're local too.
That could be.
And if your wife likes the high-end restaurant, for people our age, they give you 20% off if you're over 55 if you show them your card, which is a nice little perk on top. And I think Hugo's is a great old-time Las Vegas restaurant.
Yes, it is good. And we got Bonnie a card, and we show them both cards, and I think it's 10% off. But and so they give us the discount on both meals, even though she's not a player there. So and because it's per meal per card. So if you have 2 people and 2 cards, you get 2 discounts. But if you have one person, you have 2 people and 1 card, you only get the 10% off of one of them.
That's a bizarre way to do things.
Well, every casino has its own bizarre way of doing things. And
yes,
part of being an AP is to figure out which of these bizarre things you can profit from. So that's weird. Now, it was not at all of interest to me, but they had a quarter 8-5 jacks with progressives on each of the suited progressives. And did you see that, Jimmy?
I did. I was just kind of wandering around. and I happened up to the bar because I want to see what's at any particular casino I venture into. And I flipped through the game, and I looked, and I saw on the clubs, it was a $5,000 Royal. And I looked twice to make sure I was reading it right for quarters.
Yes.
So I ran the numbers real quick. I mean, it was about break even, so it's not a great play, but I've been doing this for 30 years. I have never seen a $5,000 quarter Royal, so that just kind of struck me as unusual and worthy of a mention.
Yeah, it was slightly better than break even, and it was still the buck and 1.25% promotion if you're doing it in June, assuming you didn't come in on the last day of the promotion. So a quarter game when a good dollar game was available is not going to be of interest to me. But there were a number of our listeners would have jumped on that game if they had seen it. All right, let's talk about car travel.
Okay.
When I got the hint from you, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, about when I have to rent a car when I'm traveling to that Auto Slash was a good way to go. And there have been some changes in Auto Slash. So tell us about those.
Well, yeah, Auto Slash is a site that will either book a car for you and try and get you their best rate, or if you book at a different site, if you enter the information, they'll try and find you a better rate. And I've had communication with them over the years, and recently, maybe a year and a half ago, I started noticing that the reservation would be made and it would come up through Priceline, which I thought was unusual. So I talked to the gentleman there a little bit, and he said they use Priceline as the facility to get the discounts into the reservation. Auto Slash actually does the hunting to find the discount and then uses Priceline as their secretarial tool to get the rate. Now, it's a great site, and I've saved a ton of money with them over the years. But with this extra layer, you end up actually with 3 different reservation numbers. And I canceled the Priceline reservation that I got through Auto Slash, and I looked at the actual company I was renting from, and the reservation was still listed on their website. So I was a little bit concerned about that. I talked to the guys at Auto Slash, and they said that really shouldn't happen, and they weren't quite sure why that happened. But I went ahead and canceled it through the rental car place itself just to make sure. Now, I've also booked rental cars through the Southwest portal to get some Southwest miles. And I noticed the same thing. If I canceled the reservation on the Southwest site where I made the booking, sometimes the rental car company would still show the reservation. Now, I'm not sure what would happen if I didn't show up and didn't pick that up, but to me it's not worth going through the trouble to find that out or the possible risk. So I'm sure they'll get that straightened out as they move forward. And they're also looking at a direct book option that they said will come out probably in the next 6 months or so. And that should streamline the process, which would be a welcome step, assuming that the pricing is still as favorable as it is from them. So when I rent a car, the first thing I do is grab a reservation through Expedia or Car Rentals or Travelocity or whoever. And then I punch that information into the Auto Slash site, and they will generally give me a better rate within a day or so. Now, I talked to them again about how often they update, and he didn't really nail it down, but it sounds like after they do the initial check, they don't check like every day or every other day, but he didn't exactly specify how often. So what I do is after I do that initial check, maybe a month later, depending on when the rental is, if I get an email from Travelocity or Car Rentals or whoever that says we have a better rate, I'll take a look at that If it's lower, I'll make that reservation, update AutoSlash, and then AutoSlash will come back again 90% of the time with a better rate than I can get. So it's not 100% foolproof or turnkey where I just enter one time and everything's taken care of. But for my last trip, which was end of June, my initial rate for the 6 days was $270, and my final rate was $107. So for me, a little bit of trouble with some of the kinks in the armor of their system is well worth it in terms of the lower rental car cost.
You know, I'm also a big fan of AutoSlash, and they do constantly update. They're constantly looking for a better price, and I had to rent a van, and I booked it maybe 6 weeks in advance, and my initial rate was close to $300 for a week, and they updated it 3 or 4 times during the month with a lower rate each time, and when I actually got to the time of the rental, it was down to like $120 for the week. So that's what I really like about them, is that they're constantly looking for a better price, and they will update your rate if they find one.
Right. I don't think they're constantly looking. I think they look fairly often. So I've found times where I've gotten a rate through whatever site that's been lower than the AutoSlash rate. And then if I re-enter the information, AutoSlash comes back with another lower rate than that. So, like I said, they definitely monitor during the rental till you pick up your vehicle, but I don't think it's constantly. So, I mean, small point, but if you do the work yourself, you can probably save yourself a few bucks, and it's a question of whether it's worth the trouble or not.
The initial state of you have to check for one first, I don't understand why you need to do that. Why wouldn't it work just with going?
Yeah, I just book it initially through AutoSlash. I don't go anywhere else first.
You know, maybe it's my location or where I rent or whatever, but what I found is if I book through AutoSlash initially first, I can almost always find a lower rate than that number. And the first couple times I did it, Las Vegas is a 3 or 4 time a year stop for me. The only ones that popped up were like 6 car rental and one other one. I wouldn't get the full range of 12 different rental car options, and they were significantly more than what I could find on my own. So I'm not sure where that initial bump is there, and I haven't got a complete explanation from the AutoSlash guys. But from my experience, booking through them first, and maybe it'll catch up in a couple of days or so, but the initial rate I get from them is often higher than what I can find on my own. But once I get the ball rolling, they can almost always find a lower rate than I can. So maybe I'll drop them a note and ask them why that is. I did that one time, and they didn't really answer.
That isn't the question of why they can get a better rate than you can. Why can going through that first step, why can't they get the same rate if you don't go through that first step?
I don't know. That's what I will do some more investigating with. But I've brought that up to them before, and their answer was, yeah, it should work the same whether you bring us a rate or we book it or we do it ourselves initially. But my experience is that's not so. And I don't know why that is. Maybe that'll be for a follow-up show.
All right, let's stay on cars and talk about Uber in Las Vegas. What's going on there?
Yeah, this was probably a month ago or so. I was reading through the Las Vegas Advisor, and Uber is obviously taking a whole lot of money away from the cab drivers for a lot of reasons. So the cab drivers, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they were going to get back at Uber and everybody who uses Uber and stage a protest, and they were going to pick out one casino for a specific period of time. I don't know if it was a day or a week, and refused service to that casino. So the first one I think was Bellagio back in May, and I'm not sure how it ended up and whether it really affected business or not. But to me, if you're a cab driver and you're losing money because somebody has a better product than you, cutting off the few customers you have left is not the way to get your point across. It just seemed the absolute backwards way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And it also seemed like you are training the customers that still use cabs how to use Uber. Because if they're at the Bellagio and can't get a cab, they now are going to have to learn how to use Uber so they can get a ride. So it just really seemed like not a very well thought out strategy on the part of the cab drivers.
Yeah, it's the, kind of the bully mentality, I guess, but it just, there's no way it can further their cause. So.
Well, the other thing that I don't understand is if you're losing money to the Uber drivers, why not quit driving a cab and start driving Uber instead?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you have to have your own car and you have to pay for your gas and all that, but. Right.
I don't know what the wages are of a cab driver versus an Uber driver, but that might be part of it. Because, the cabs had kind of a monopoly for a long time in a lot of cities. I mean, in New York, the medallion to drive a cab used to go for over $1 million, and the last number I heard was it's like $250,000 now, all due to Uber and Lyft, and the other ones like that. And speaking of Uber, my friend stayed at the Rio this last trip, and there was a code on the back of his room key, Rio, Las Vegas, that's good for $20 off your first Uber ride. So cab drivers won't like that either, but I think your readers will.
So your first Uber ride lifetime or first Uber ride today?
First Uber ride lifetime. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So
there's a lot of the similar offers, but that was the first one I saw that was for $20, which is a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Especially on a $10 trip. Ha.
They don't give you $10 back though, Bob.
Oh, what a! If they're not going to give me $10 about, we're going to go on to a different subject. Let's go to airline travel.
Okay.
Alaska Air. What is that? There was a special there you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Haley Marie and I are going to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary, and in December we're actually going to Hawaii for the first time. So I did a little bit of research, and I have a friend of mine in the Midwest who is probably the best hustler, credit card, and otherwise that I've ever met. So we got to chatting a little bit, and he told me about Alaska Airlines. And I thought, well, why do I need that? But their credit card through Bank of America is like $75 annual fee. They give you $100 credit on your first statement, and they'll give you 30,000 Alaskan Air miles. And they'll also let you have two cards at one time, two personal cards at the same time. And you can also cancel those and renew, the last time I checked, every 90 days. So I had built up 90,000 miles. I looked on their site, and 2 round-trip tickets from Detroit to Honolulu would cost 120,000 frequent flyer miles. So Haley Marie signed up for a card, and I think I got a referral bonus for her for that. So then we called up Alaskan Air and said, let's throw all these miles together, and we've got 2 tickets to Hawaii via 4 credit card sign-ups that ended up netting us actually $100 in bonuses. So between that and the IHG credit cards for Holiday Inn, we're staying 2 nights in Hawaii before the cruise. We're flying into Hawaii, staying 2 nights, and taking a 7-day cruise around the islands. So the airfare's covered, the hotels are covered, and she somehow got a great deal on our cruise. It was listing for about $6,500, and she managed to get it for about $5,000. And then for some reason, Ebates, which is one of a myriad of rebate sites, had a $600 rebate on that particular cruise. So they sent her a check for $600. I figured this whole cruise would cost about $12,000 if you just did it, on your own with no discounts, and I think we'll pay about $4,500 for the whole thing. So it's not like some of the deals you hear from the various credit card sites where a guy travels around the world 3 times on all his miles. But I think this is a very easily attainable trip that had very concrete benefits for not a whole lot of effort. So anybody looking for a new credit card to start with, Alaskan Air has some definite benefits. The downside is that most of their connections go through either Seattle or Portland. So from Detroit to Portland to Hawaii is not that big a deal. But if you wanted to go, if you're in the Midwest and you want to go to Florida, it's not going to work for you. And the miles are also usable on American Airlines, which is one of their partner airlines. So pretty good credit card play.
Good, especially if any of our listeners having a 20th anniversary soon. That would be especially good for them.
Or even the 15th. What the heck?
What the heck? Oh, wow. Okay. What's Priority Pass all about?
Priority Pass is an independent set of airline lounges not linked to a particular airline. So the company provides the lounges and the access and some food and drink. And I got started with them through Chase Sapphire Reserve card, which gave me the Priority Pass lounge as a perk. The good thing about it is at airports that don't have a Priority Pass lounge, they will often give you credit at one of the restaurants inside the airport. So we've used it at St. Louis Airport and Denver Airport, and it's nice to be able to grab a quick bite to eat between connections and have Priority Pass pick up the tab for that. Now, in the old days, it was unlimited. So if I happen to be traveling with the Las Vegas volleyball team and have 8 people with me, I could go into either their lounge or one of the restaurants and get a $28 per person credit. They have since cut that back to 1 per priority card holder. So it's still, good for you and another person. So $56 for 2 will usually get you a decent bite to eat at most airport restaurants. So once again, nice little perk from a pretty good credit card. And one unusual use, Charlotte Airport now has what they call these mini suites, which is basically a very small room with a bed where you can take a nap for an hour. The charge for that happens to be $28, and Priority Pass will cover that. So if you're ever connecting through Charlotte and need to snooze for an hour, and you have a Priority Pass card, they'll take care of you.
It's for an hour only? Can you snooze for 2 hours?
You can get it for longer, but the first hour is covered by the card. So I think it's either $28 or $30 an hour after that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, if you hook up with a stewardess and need a place quick, that would be very useful. Okay.
I don't know how big the rooms are, so.
If you need a room now.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know how big the rooms are, so I don't know if 2 people would actually fit in there. I haven't actually seen them, but that's just at the Charlotte Airport.
The next thing I want to talk about is pre-TSA. Now, whenever I fly on Southwest, already pre-TSA is assigned to me, which is very convenient. I like it, but I always get it. And so if I always get it, I don't see any reason to pay for it. But if I didn't always get it, I would pay for it because it's worth the money. Now, what do you know about pre-TSA, Jimmy?
They give out the pre-TSA on Southwest through some system of theirs, and I haven't been able to decipher how they determine it. So I think, one, you might have been very, very lucky so far, but I wouldn't count on that happening for every one of your Southwest flights.
I think it has something to do with age. Like, I think over a certain age, they tend to give it to, to everybody.
Well, Bonnie and I wife more than 70, so I don't know if that matters. That could be a round number cutoff that you two haven't reached yet, but with any luck, your turn will come.
Well, my wife tends to get it on Southwest, and I think that's because she is a retired nurse, and I think they like taking care of their nurses, but I don't have any proof of that. But what pre-TSA does for you is you keep your shoes on, you keep your belt on, you keep your laptop in your bag, you keep all your little liquids in your bag, and I happen to I have sleep apnea, so I carry a CPAP machine with me. I can keep that in my bag. I figure it saves me 15 minutes through airport security for each time I have to do that. And the cost,
at least, because also you get a separate line that is way shorter than the normal lines that people are waiting in to go through security.
Especially in Las Vegas. I've noticed that there, the difference between the regular line and the pre-TSA line can be huge at times. So I gave 15 minutes as a very conservative estimate. And the cost, if you don't get it through one of a dozen credit cards, is $85 for 5 years. So $17 a year. If you fly once, really, to me, it'd be worth it. So to me, it's a very worthwhile service. And like I said, there's about probably a dozen credit cards where you get it one time for free through their credit card. So,
well, also, to me, even more important than pre-TSA is the global entry visa. For anybody who does any travel at all outside the United States, the global entry visa is like having pre-TSA, but when you get to America, so you're going through immigration, it's just, it can save you hours. And that pre-TSA is free if you have global entry visa. And there are, as Jimmy said, there are credit cards that will reimburse you the cost of the pre-TSA. And in my case, it was an American Express travel card, and and they covered it. So it cost me nothing, and it includes pre-TSA. So, yeah, I highly recommend the global entry visa.
Yeah, we don't do
a Visa card. That's so you apply, actually, you're through the United States Customs and Immigration for that.
Yeah, so you fill out an application, and then a week or two later they give you an appointment, and you have to go to the appointment at Customs and Immigration office. There's one in Las Vegas in Terminal 3, and they fingerprint you, and that's basically it. And once you have that attached to your name, they give you this number, and it's now attached to your name and your passport, and so you put that number in when you book your reservations, and it automatically gives you pre-TSA.
And that was just so I'm looking at the website. It says it's $139.99 a year. You have to do it through PayPal.
No, it looks like, I think you're looking at the wrong website. Okay. I think, first of all, it lasts for 5 years, and yeah. Anyway, I don't want to look it up while we're on the air, but
yeah. Okay. But it really is only helpful for if you go out of the country.
Yes. Well, except that it also includes pre-TSA, which is all of your in-country travel.
Also, and so I go on a lot of cruises, and the way the cruise things work in this country is all of the multi-day cruises have a stop at least one non-U.S. port. And so you always have to go through customs and immigrations on your way in, but it is basically a piece of cake to do that. And I don't know that pass would help you at all there. So, all right. Before we decide what to talk to next, let's have some brief commercials, and then we'll be getting back to Jimmy Jazz, and then we're going to go into the credit card part of the show. South Point has more than 10,000 games, returning more than 99%. This is more than anybody else has. This month's promotion are Chevron and Walmart gift cards for half price. Earn and redeem 8334 points in July, and you get a $50 gift card, up to 10 a month. That much play would normally get you $25 in cash or free play. The fourth class in the free video poker series will be Tuesday, July 24th at noon in the Silverado Lounge. The class is 9-6 Bonus Poker Deluxe. This game is like Jacks or Better, except that 4 of a kinds receive 400 coins rather than 125, and 2 pair receives 5 coins instead of 10. These two factors balance each other out pretty well EV-wise, although the variance of Bonus Poker Deluxe is considerably higher. The Bonus Poker Deluxe games return 99.64% compared to the 99.54% of Jacks or Better of the same pay schedule. At videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the Gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Split Card Poker. This is a 10 coins per hand game where periodically, on the deal or the draw, not both, you receive a split card. A split card may start out with any card, but once the split card is chosen, an additional card will appear. It is either one card lower, one card higher, or the same card, all with equal probability. That is, if the ace of clubs is the split card, it is equally likely to become the ace-king of clubs, the ace-deuce of clubs, or 2 aces of clubs. The only pay schedule addition is 5 of a kind on non-wild card games, or 5 deuces on deuces wild variations. All right, we're talking to Jimmy Jazz. We've talked so far about car travel and air travel. There's a number of things about credit cards to talk about today. Now, LVA.com, which hosts gamblingwithanedge.com, so it is a somewhat related site. Now, they've started covering credit cards. Jimmy, what do you know about this?
Yeah, they started this about maybe 2 months ago. And the gentleman who has the blog is named Dr. Lou Antonius. So far, he's covered pretty much the basics of credit cards. Nothing real earth-shattering yet. But I think maybe as the blog goes on and he gets the intro stuff out of the way, he might get into some more advantaged credit card opportunities. Also, in talking to Anthony Curtis at the Las Vegas Advisor, they may start at some point a credit card referral program, which has not yet been finalized yet. So he let me know that if that gets going, I'll probably have to pull down my posts where I have my little credit card referral, which is fine. I think I netted a whopping $200 off of that, so I can deal with that loss. So I'm looking forward to that site. I think there's a huge opportunity, as we talk about it on this show periodically. But there's even though it's changed, there's still a very worthwhile hobby to pick up, credit card hustling.
Like all advantage play, it's constantly changing. So there are opportunities that once were much better and are not, but there's also constantly new opportunities popping up.
Right.
All right. How is American Express credit cards different than it was?
Well, American Express has had a lot of really good credit card offers over the years, and they're starting to take the countermeasures against the bonus hustlers. A while ago, they instituted the policy where you can only have one card of a credit card type lifetime. So in my case, I have the Amex Blue Cash Preferred card, which gets me 6% at grocery stores and 3% at gas stations, which is a pretty good card for me. I've had it for probably 4 or 5 years, and it's one of a very small number of cards that I actually pay an annual fee for. I think the benefits are worth it. But I recently applied for the Blue Cash Everyday card, which is a lower version of that. I think it's 3% at grocery stores and 1% at gas stations. And when I applied online on the website, a pop-up window says, you are eligible for this bonus. Do you still want to continue with your application? So even though the cards to me are different enough, they consider it one of a credit card type, and I was no longer eligible for the sign-up bonus for that particular card. That's the biggest thing. Also, there's language in the application that says if they feel you're applying for this credit card solely to get the bonus, they can refuse you the credit card. Really, I mean, they can refuse you a credit card probably for a lot of reasons, and this is just kind of telling you up front that if your only reason for getting the card is the sign-up bonus, it might be tougher to get from American Express in the future.
Okay, so that's American Express. What about Chase?
Chase was the first one who really started this with their what's called 524 rule, where if you have 5 credit cards from anybody opened in a 2-year period, they will refuse you on 85% of their credit card offerings. They've gone a step further on the Chase Southwest cards, the Plus and the Premier, where you used to be able to have both of them at the same time, and now they will only allow you to have one at a time. And also the best sign-up bonus I can find right now is 40,000 rapid reward miles, and the 50,000 used to be very common, and the 60,000 was, you could find it probably a couple times a year. So I think they're scaling back the number of cards you can have, and also the value of the card, and that's on the personal credit card side. On the business credit card side, there's still the 60,000 mile offers available.
Do they still have a free card offer? Or are all the Southwest cards now you have to pay an annual fee?
I don't ever remember a Southwest card being no annual fee. Maybe a long time ago, but I've had a couple. My wife has had a couple, so going back at least 6 years, I haven't seen a no annual fee Chase Southwest card. I mean, the annual fee is like $39 for one, and they give you 3,000 miles, and $69 for the other one, or maybe $99, and they give you 6,000 miles on your anniversary. So there's a fee, but they also wipe it out partially with the miles they give you.
I see.
All right. What about Capital One?
We're doing some home renovations, so I was looking for a 0 APR credit card for 18 months or 2 years. So that's why I applied to a couple different ones. And one of the ones I applied to was the Capital One Quicksilver card, which is not that great of a credit card. I mean, I think it was 15 months at 0% interest and maybe a $100 sign-up bonus. I mean, it was nothing special, and they turned me down. Not sure why. I should follow up with them and get the actual reason they turned me down. But again, talking to my friend in the Midwest who's the credit card wizard, he said that Capital One, for whatever reason, is way more difficult than a lot of the other credit card companies. So I'm not sure if they're being overly picky for a reason or saw something they didn't like in my particular credit profile. I don't know, but I should follow up with them and find out why I was turned down for that credit card.
I want to go back to Chase for just a second. Is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, is that still the number one card to get?
Well, they cut their sign-up bonus in half. So it used to be 100,000 miles or points, and now it's 50,000 points. And the annual fee is $450, and that gets offset by a $300 travel credit. And also they do the global entry or TSA pre one time per 5-year period. Now what's interesting is I just recently renewed on the Sapphire Reserve, and I got my new Priority Pass card in the mail, and it's good to like 2022. So I'm not sure whether that was a mistake or what, but they kind of take away a little bit of the incentive to renew when they give me that one perk for the next 4 years, whether I keep their card or not. It's still a good card, especially, I mean, $300 in travel, you can spend that in a minute. So really it's a $150 annual fee. And if you do either TSA, pre-TSA or the global entry, that's another $85. So, I mean, for a $65 annual fee, I think it's a very good credit card. Just for the primary auto insurance. Sorry.
What do you think is the number one card right now?
Highly dependent on your situation. For me, it's the Amex Blue Cash Card because I get 6% at the grocery store, and we do the gift card hustle. So, and the gas station, the store in our area does the gas points. So basically, I can buy credit cards at the equivalent of 20% off the face value. So to me, that's the best card I have going right now.
And how much per month are you churning doing that?
It's only good on the first $6,000 of the year, but it's annual. So if you got the card in June during your first year, which is no annual fee, you could do $6,000 spend in the current year and $6,000 spend in the next year. And then
that's calendar year.
Correct. But your year that you own the card with no annual fee can span 2 calendar years. So you really get double the amount. Yeah. And, that's because it happens that particular store works for me. But, I mean, even the 6% to me is a very good perk at grocery stores. And I'm sure anybody with kids knows that spending $6,000 at a grocery store in a year is not a hard thing to do.
All right.
Do you know, does Walmart count as a grocery store?
I don't think they do, but I'm not sure. And I don't know if there's Meijer out in your area, but it's kind of like a big, huge superstore and department store and home improvement and all that stuff. And even though the Amex site said they don't count, they actually do. So the only way to know for sure is if you run your card through once and see what happens.
Oh.
What is Ibotta all about?
Okay. Ibotta is a website And what they do is they have a list of products that changes probably on maybe a daily basis. And you'll get a rebate on the particular product. So if you're looking through your Ibotta application and you see that Nabisco crackers have a 40-cent rebate, when you go shopping, you buy the product. When you're done, you scan the receipt to your Ibotta application, and they post the rebate to your account. So a lot of it is, beer, wine, and stuff like that. But there's also some basic grocery stuff as well. And it takes all the hassle out of rebating. No forms to fill out, no envelopes, no stamps. All goes in one place. And what I like about it is it scans your receipt and stores your receipt on the site. So if I need to go back for whatever reason to find a receipt from 6 months ago, instead of looking through the shoebox of receipts I have in my room, I can go to Ibotta and look it up that way. Now, if it worked for returning merchandise, I think that would be tremendous. I don't know if it does or not. I'll have to give that one a try. But if you can use Ibotta to return an item you bought via the Ibotta receipt you scanned, to me that would be a tremendous organization and time saver.
So if they have, I'm looking at the site now, and it's mostly $1, $2, or $3, something small amounts.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you need to spend quite a bit of time scanning this to find out where the value is. So there's
My wife has had this for probably 2.5 years and probably saved $600. So, I mean, it's not a fortune, but I've also had more than one $7 case of beer out of it, so I like it.
Well, whatever floats your boat then. Now, is Fetch.com similar?
It's similar, but what they do is all you do is scan the receipt, and if they have the item in their database, you get it. So you don't even have to actively look. All you do is when you're done shopping, you scan the receipt, and it pops to your account. So it's like one step simpler. And I guess, you need to scan the site to get an idea of what they have in their inventory, but it takes one more step out of the rebating process.
Do they sell this information? In other words, if you scan all your receipts, then their computers have a real good sense of what your buying patterns are, and so that would make you a valuable source of information to the right kind of stores who want to advertise, and so that would give you a lot more junk mail, so to speak. Do you find this true?
I haven't noticed that. But, with information the way it is today, I mean, the whole Facebook's issue, I think anytime you put your information out, regardless of what the site says, you're at risk of having information shared, regardless of how many disclaimers they put out there to the contrary. So if you want to keep your shopping habits a secret, then probably these two sites wouldn't work for you. But if you're a rebater, and if you've ever tried to fill out, your name and the barcode in that half a square inch box they make you fill it out in, or have a rebate loss and then try and prove to them that you actually sent it in, this is like light years better than that method.
Okay. What is OpenTable all about?
OpenTable is a online reservation system. So say you're going out to dinner and want to make a reservation. You do it through this site, and they make the reservation for you, and they also kick you back a little bit of money. It's typically $1 for a reservation, but I've seen some 10 times promotions where having dinner out, going through this site earns you an extra $10. If you're going to make a reservation anyway, It's easier than calling the restaurant and doing it that way. Plus, they give you some money. So, again, my wife has used this quite a bit and has actually used it for comped casino meals, too, on occasion. So, not only is the meal comped, the open table site gives us $1 or so back.
Uh-huh. So
and I have referrals for all these if people are interested.
You have referrals? What does that mean?
I think if I have you sign up for Open Table, you get a small credit to your account, and I get a small credit to my account.
And how do people get that?
They could email me at GWAE Gambling with an Edge _ CC @ AOL.com. That's the same address I used for the credit card referrals. And, I get an occasional question or two. But yeah, either a credit card referral or these referrals, be happy to help out.
All right. We have a few more minutes, and you found a guy who wanted to become eligible for the stupidest thing you ever heard in a casino.
Yeah.
Something about video blackjack.
Yeah, we were at the D playing upstairs, and D is a great place to play, low-end video poker. And I'm listening to this guy chat with his buddy. And so he's playing video blackjack, and this is the blackjack pays even money game. So it's about 97.5%. And he's playing $25 a hand. So, fair amount of cash. So he gets I forget what the hand was. He gets a 13 against the dealer. No, he got 13 against the dealer too. And he tells his buddy, he goes, 90 to 95% of the time, when you have a stiff hand and the dealer has a 6 or less up, the dealer busts. And he made a point of saying not 100% of the time, but 90 to 95% of the time that happens. And then he goes on to say that this is based on several thousand hands of play. So if you bother to take the trouble to track 3,000 or 5,000 hands of play, I think you're going to see that it's probably closer to a 50% occurrence instead of a 95% occurrence. And the fact that somebody playing for $25 a pop and having that being that much off on the math of the game, to me, is just astounding. And then he tops it. It gets better. He says that because the machines play so quickly, when the 10s are going to come up. Now, this doesn't happen at the live games because, the pace of play is slower. But if you play the machines, because they play fast, you can tell when the 10s are going to come up.
Well, I can tell you, Jimmy, that you could watch guys betting $500 a hand who will tell you equally stupid things. So yeah, $25 a hand is it's. I know because you're used to playing much smaller stakes that it seems
right.
like somebody betting that much would know a little more about the games. But believe me, the more money they bet, they don't get any smarter.
Yeah, it just astounded me that, he's purporting all this stuff and based on my evidence of play, and it mind-boggling. Plus the video blackjack, if you're an average player, you can play 800 hands an hour. When we used to play heavily, when there was a good game going on, you could play 15, 16, 1,700 hands an hour, no problem. So if he plays for any length of time, he's running a lot of money through. He might run the equivalent of a $500 live player a hand.
We've been talking to Jimmy Jazz about car mileage, gambling, credit cards, and how to get bang for your buck. Thank you very much, Jimmy. It's a pleasure having you as always. Thank you,
Thanks
Richard.
for having me.
Go out and hit a royal flush, everybody. Good day.